Hey y'all, welcome to TXC Tells All, or welcome back if you're one of our subscribers. So today I'm wearing my UDC law gear. I don't know if y'all can see my t-shirt. Y'all young people call this merch. Now, does this qualify as merch? Maybe it does. But anyway, I am a practicing attorney for those of y'all who don't know me yet. And I went to the University of DC, David A. Clarke School of Law. So repping today. Okay, y'all, so I took my hat off, but still got it here. I ordered this off of District of Clothing. They have an Instagram page, so check them out. Even if you didn't go to UDC, they have a lot of great other gear on there. So just check it out. I really like the quality of the hat. The shirt was really good. So for all my UDC alumni, all my David A. Clarke School of Law alumni, check it out. They have some really nice new gear on there. So anyway, let's talk about what we usually think about when we're going to law school, right? When we're choosing a law school, I know the first thing on my mind in choosing a law school was, what LSAT score do they accept? That was my evaluation. Like, I got this certain LSAT score, and is this law school looking at applicants in the range of this LSAT score? That's important, right? You want to be realistic, but I wasn't evaluating it like I was making a business decision to spend thousands of dollars a year. I mean, if you're going to spend, I know when I even evaluate to spend, let's say $100 on clothes or shoes or sneakers or a bag, I evaluate like, is this a good bag? Do I like it? This, and that. I don't think I did that same evaluation for law school, even though I was spending this exorbitant amount of money for this service. And I think we really need to change the way that we look at law schools as applicants and really make sure that we're evaluating, I'm paying you this, what are you giving me in exchange? And is it going to be worth it? Not, am I going to get in? And I think sometimes, you know, the nature of the LSAT and the application process is so much of the applicant, us as the future law student, presenting ourselves to the law school and say, please accept me. Am I worthy? I'm great. I have great grades. I have a great LSAT score, all this good stuff. But we don't evaluate the school the way that we should because it's a major investment. Let's talk about law school being at the end of it. People come out of law school with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. By the time you take tuition, fees, cost of living, especially if you're not working during law school, you're going to have that six-figure debt. So you are making that type of investment, that you want to make sure that you're making a good decision. And to do that, I think you need to evaluate the cost. So that's what this video is about. I want to talk about 6 HBCU law schools, including the one that I went to, and look at how much they are charging per year for in-state students and out-of-state students, and do a little evaluation on, you know, one law school costing a fraction of what the other law school is costing and what they offer. You know, I mean, we won't go through all the curriculum, you know, all the courses that are offered in this video. I'll probably do a part 2, but I just want to kind of, you know, start off with, let's evaluate it just based on cost per year. What type of investment are you looking at if you want to go to a law school, especially if you want to go to one of these 6 HBCU law schools? So let's get into it. Okay, so I created this chart which lists these 6 schools and the 2021 to 2022 tuition. And I just looked these up today, so this is current information. Let's start with my alma mater, University of the District of Columbia, David A. Clarke School of Law. They're at the top of the list as the least expensive. So per year for residents, that means DC residents, is $12,438 a year. Law school is 3 years. So for UDC right now, if you are a DC resident, you're looking at, just with tuition and fees, a total of $37,314, and you have a law degree. That is, let me tell y'all, that is very, very inexpensive. I decided to go to UDC, but I had also got into Hofstra, and I didn't put Hofstra on this list because it's not an HBCU. But let me tell you, Hofstra is way, way more expensive than that. So at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about the offerings, but UDC, you're walking out of there, let's just round up to $40,000 for a law degree. from an accredited university where you can then go ahead and take the bar. And from there, you know, you do with your degree and your license what you want to do with it. Now, we can talk a little bit about the differences as far as the job opportunities that are available when you graduate from different law schools, and the potential differences in, you know, openings for a UDC student in the private sector versus a Howard student in the private sector. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But just from sheer cost, you're getting a law degree from an accredited university. The UDC wins as the HBCU at the top of the list. For non-residents, it's $24,874 per year. So you see that cost there. Think about that. That is really, really inexpensive for a law school degree. Do your research. Don't take my word for it, but I can tell you that's on the low end. So UDC wins for just straight off the bat cost. Next, we have Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law. I'm repping them too because my husband graduated from there, but they are next on the list, going from least expensive to most expensive for these 6 HBCUs. Per year for a resident, that means a Texas resident, is $21,000, $21,038 a year. And if you're a non-resident, it jumps up about $7,000 to $28,261 a year. So still not bad. I mean, for a law school education, if you're out here in Texas where the cost of living is pretty good, you're looking at $84,783 at tuition and fees at the end of the 3 years. So still keeps you under $100,000, and you walk away with a law degree from an accredited university again, and you're ready to go take the bar. Next on the list, we have Florida A&M College of Law. Coming in third, and per year for a resident of Florida, you're looking at $31,180 per year, and for a non-resident, jumps up to $50,440 per year. Now, take a look at that for Florida A&M. I did notice that was a pretty big jump from resident to non-resident. So if you're looking to go to Florida A&M, that might be something you want to consider. I know at UDC, after you have been living in the city for a certain amount of time, you could apply for resident status. So if Florida A&M is at the top of your list, it might be something you want to look into. Hey, maybe I want to move there first, do a gap year or spend some time there, see if I like the city, and see if I can get resident status before I apply or before I start school, because you're looking at a almost $20,000 difference between resident and non-resident. So that's something to keep in mind. Fourth on the list, you have North Carolina Central University School of Law, and they come in at $41,512 for residents, and then $64,184 for non-residents. So just look at the difference, though. Before we even get to Southern University Law Center and Howard University School of Law, from UDC non-resident, we have $24,874 a year. You're living in the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. Then we come to North Carolina Central University. It jumps up to $64,000. That's almost a $40,000 jump. So you're looking at per year, the difference between UDC and North Carolina Central, $40,000 per year. You're getting the same JD. Now, I don't want any North Carolina Central graduates to jump down my throat and say, no, but there's more course offerings. That may be true. We're not even, looking at all of that yet. And I think that is something important to evaluate. But just from sheer cost, you're looking at the difference from UDC, $24,000 to North Carolina Central, $64,000 a year. Next on the list, Southern University Law Center, and that's my bad. They actually should have been fourth if we're looking at cost, because Southern University Law Center is actually cheaper per year for non-residents at $52,848. So that's my bad. And then we have Howard coming in last with the most expensive. It's private, so whether you're resident or non-resident, they're coming in at $68,642 per year. So Just looking from the least expensive to the most expensive, you're looking at a $44,000 difference per year. So let's swallow that information, because I know numbers can be a lot. But just looking at the cost, I want you guys to take a look at this chart and evaluate it, especially if you're considering any of these schools. Really, really look at these numbers, compare and contrast what these schools are offering you. All right, so we looked at the cost, right? You saw UDC, my law school, at the top of the list at cost. And it really was really affordable. Now, was I living my best life and taking out too many student loans and not really utilizing or taking great advantage of that low cost? Definitely. And I regret that now as I'm paying back those loans. But if you really did go there and really budgeted yourself, and I mean, DC is an expensive place to live, right? We have to balance that out. Living in DC is a different cost of living than living in Houston or North Carolina, right? So you do have to factor that in, but very, very affordable law school. One thing I want to look at, because, you know, I don't want this video to be too long, and I really did want to focus on the cost and just really put in your mind, if you are a future aspiring law student, look at this as a business decision. Make sure you're looking at the cost. I want to focus on that, but I also want to give you kind of a tidbit on how to evaluate. Okay, well, I'm looking at this law school, it's very affordable, but maybe paying less is not always good, right? Cheap is not always better. And that definitely is something you want to take into account. You shouldn't pick UDC just because it was the lowest priced law school on the list. But I did want to look at the clinical programs as a way to evaluate the law school. Now, if you're not interested in the clinical program at all, that's fine. I mean, some law schools actually require it. UDC, you have to take 2 clinics before you can graduate. I'm not sure about the other law schools as far as a requirement, but I will say that my clinical experience was really, really important in my development as an attorney, and I think it really helped me when I graduated law school and transitioned out into the workforce to actually know some practical application of the law. You know, you maybe watch some of our other videos where we're like, you know, they're teaching you how to write these briefs and things in law school, but you really don't know how to apply it unless you really practice. And the clinical program gives you an opportunity to practice underneath a clinical director and actually do real legal work before you get out of law school. And I will tell you that it's definitely invaluable. Maybe I'll do another video on that too. But anyway, focusing back on the evaluation based on cost. So I looked at some of these schools and I'm like, okay, well, UDC is $24,000 a year and Howard is $68,000 a year. How many clinical programs do they offer? You want to guess? UDC offers 7 clinical programs, and guess how many Howard offers? 7 too. So, you know, I haven't went to Howard University, and I don't know, you know, how their clinical programs are run. I know UDC's clinical program was pretty good. I mean, we really had some good opportunities to really, in some clinics, actually litigate and actually do transactional work in other clinics and really get a hands-on experience of practicing the law. So you're looking at a law school that is triple the price and has the same amount of clinics as another and is in the same area. You can actually walk to Howard Law School from UDC. So if you're looking at, you know, Washington, D.C. as somewhere you want to be, you may want to evaluate, hey, and especially if you're interested in litigating when you get out of law school and clinical programs might be of interest to you, $24,000 versus $68,000. Now, like I said, that's not the only way to evaluate, but you might want to look at that. Especially, I don't know what tier Howard is right now. UDC is a 4-tier law school, so if you're trying to get into private practice, big law or even mid-sized firms, you might want to look at that. Some of these big law, they're not going to, or it's difficult for you to get into big law from a 4-tier law school. So that might be something you want to evaluate with UDC too. But again, from a cost perspective, looking really good. They really are. So the clinical program is a way you can evaluate. Southern has 12 clinical offerings, and they were on the list. They were more expensive. I think they were 4th or 5th on the list. We'll have to pull that up again. And then FAMU had 8 clinical offerings. So, you know, you have a range there. Southern had the most that I saw as far as the different clinics that were available to their law students. But look at that and see, okay, well, this law school is offering 7, this law school is offering 8 or 7, and I really don't see a big difference in the clinical program. That's something that you can put on your list. So, you know, also look at courses that are being offered. Of course, we have to take the basics that prepare us for the bar, and I'll do another video on that. I don't want to get lost in that, but there are electives that you can take that focus more on areas that you may be interested in. I took some employment discrimination courses. You know, that's what I ended up going into, is employment discrimination law. So you might want to look at the law school's course list, and you might be pleasantly surprised and think, you know, the law school that costs less might actually offer the courses that you're interested in. So I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying with this video is evaluate, evaluate, evaluate. This is a business decision. Don't just throw a couple $100,000 at this law school because they accepted you. And I think that's the perspective that I had when I applied for law school. I just want to get accepted. I really do. And maybe not everybody has that, you know, view, and they're actually doing the evaluation like they should. But I know I really didn't. I didn't really evaluate the cost versus what I was getting. I looked at it more as, let me present myself to this law school and I hope they accept me. I hope my essay is good. I hope my grades are good enough. I hope my LSAT score is good enough. And I did not do this evaluation that I'm talking about right now. So take a look at that chart again. If you need to go back in this video or rewind, take a look at that chart. If you're looking at those schools, go back and look at their websites. Pull up a bunch of different tabs and compare. What courses do you offer? How much do you cost per semester? How much is resident versus non-resident? What clinical programs do you have? What's your bar passage rate? Because why am I paying double and your bar passage rate is 2% higher than the person who is or not the person, but the law school that's way less expensive? Think about that. So the goal of going to law school is to pass the bar, and I'm paying an extra, let's just say $50,000 to go to a school that doesn't have a much higher bar passage rate than this other school that costs way less. Something to think about. So all that to say, I went to UDC. Comment below if you have questions about UDC. I graduated in 2011, so it's been a while, but shout out to UDC, and I had some really great professors. I mean, when I tell you I had a really good legal education, and I think I know that was because of some of the professors I had. Shout out to Professor Smith, Professor Mawakana. If y'all watching this, I had some really, really great professors. So at UDC, paying a fraction of what some of my colleagues were paying at other HBCU law schools. So it's something to consider. Make sure you look at this. I hope this video was helpful. Comment below if you did do that evaluation when you were applying to law school. If you didn't do that evaluation, and how you may have done it differently if you could turn back the hands of time. But also, especially to my aspiring and future law students and lawyers, if you have questions, you know, we've been through it, so ask us questions. Both me and Larita went to UDC, so I would love to hear from you. Comment below. I hope this video was helpful, and make sure you hit that like button if you like this video, and hit that subscribe button. We post new videos every single week, and I will definitely be doing more videos in the next few weeks about law school and applying to law school. So if you're subscribed to the channel and you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned and watch out for new videos. Thanks for watching.